Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be updating the top lane tier list for patch 7.14. So in this patch, not too many champions got changed in the top lane. Lethality was the big change in this patch that did kind of shift the meta a little bit in the top lane here. So there are a few new picks that are moving up in the tier list. So with that being said, guys, let's get started. So starting off here in the tier 1 for this patch, or the S tier, is Riven. So recently here with Fiora getting nerfed in this patch, I think Riven is probably the best solo carry snowbally top lane champion that you can play right now. The changes to Duskblade as well as to Youmuu's help her out a lot. If you can get ahead with Riven now in the early game and you grab your Death Dance, you grab your Duskblade and your Youmuu's, the amount of snowball potential that you have with Riven now with this Duskblade item just being super strong just allows Riven to carry extremely well in this patch right now. She can probably just 1v2 once she does have Death Dance and Duskblade, maybe even 1v3. That's how strong those items are right now in this patch on her. And even in this patch right now, a lot of the champions that Riven usually does pretty well against are kind of coming back into the meta. So with the Gnar buffs in the last patch, Gnar is seeing a higher play right now. I think he's picked 7 or 8% of the time right now in this patch. There's also a few tank champions that are coming back into the meta, and Riven does tend to do pretty well in a lot of these matchups that are slowly starting to see more play in this patch. Now, as for Riven's matchups in 7.14, she is struggling a little bit against Quinn and Talon. Those two champions have extremely good early games, so if you do make one mistake in the laning phase as Riven, then you can fall very far behind in those matchups. Other than that though, I would say most matchups right now are pretty skilled for Riven, or she does just straight up win them. So if you're an experienced Riven player in this patch right now, or even if you don't have too much experience on her, I think she's a really good pick for this patch. Next in the tier 1 here is going to be Jarvan. So Jarvan in this patch is also doing very well with Lethality along with Riven. What looks like to be the best build right now on Jarvan is going for an early Duskblade and then going for a Tiamat early on into the game, getting a Youmuu's, and then later on finishing your Titanic Hydra. It just does allow Jarvan to shove out the wave really fast, and it does allow him to split push a lot more effectively if you do grab a Tiamat somewhere early on in your build. Now what you want to do as Jarvan in this patch is you're more of a one-shot carry top lane champion. I think that's the best way to play him right now in this patch, with Lethality being super strong. Going for more tank Jarvan right now, I don't think that's the most optimal way to play him for solo queue at least. You can absolutely one-shot 80 carries in this patch with this Lethality build, and you're just a really big threat in teamfights if you do go damage on him. So I think if you do go for a very aggressive build on Jarvan in this patch, you're gonna have very good success. Now, as for Jarvan's matchups in this patch right now, he does do very well into a lot of these meta top lane tanks right now. So Galio, Gragas, Shen, Gnar, he does very well into because he does have that armor shred with his Q. The only matchups he's losing to in this patch are kind of cheese matchups that you don't see too often. So he's losing to Mordekaiser, Teemo, Heimerdinger, but those champions are all picked very little, so you don't really have to worry too much about going against them when you are picking Jarvan. Next up in the tier 1 here is going to be Singed. Now Singed kind of got over buffed in this patch. They did hotfix him a little bit, but the hotfix really didn't do too much to him. It did obviously bring him down in power a little bit, but he's still a very, very strong pick in this patch for top lane. I think the main reason to why Singed is a much stronger pick is because, well, number one, all of his abilities did get buffed, so obviously that's going to make him stronger. The new W that he has though, the fact that it grounds the opponent so they can no longer dash when they're in it, is actually a really good buff, because when you're playing against Cassiopeia, for example, and she puts down her W in a team fight, that is so annoying and it's so strong, especially if you are playing against a champion that does have, or a team comp that does have a lot of dashes. So if you can use this W correctly as Singed and just place it well in team fights, it can be a very strong ability. He also did get a 20% increase on the AP ratio on his Q in this patch, so Rylai's and Liandry's is even more effective on him now. He's going to deal quite a bit more damage, and Righteous Glory, it did get a buff a few patches ago, and that item is just super good on Singed too. It allows him to get a very easy engage off and just flip the high priority target back into his team. So if you get ahead in the early game as Singed and you grab that Righteous Glory, you can constantly just be looking to pressure here, look for engages, and you can close out games very fast with Singed in 7.14. Now, as for Singed matchups right now in the top lane, as you can see here, the only matchups he's really struggling against are these ranged top lane champions. So like Heimerdinger, Kayle, Jace, Teemo, he does struggle a little bit against. Most melee matchups though, he's doing very well against in this patch. He's got a 60% win rate against Gragas, 60% against Galio. So overall in this patch right now, Singed is a very strong pick for the top lane. Next in the tier 1 here is going to be Jace. So Jace is another one of those picks in this patch, and there's a lot of these picks that are stronger in this patch right now with lethality. Jace is just one of the most consistent top lane picks because you can play him into anything, you can blind pick him, and you're always going to be pretty consistent on the champion. I would say that in this patch right now, Jace is probably your best blind pick for the top lane. So if you are first pick on your team and Jace is in your champion pool, then I'd be looking to pick him up for sure. Duskblade on him and Youmuu's is a very good combo in this patch right now. If you do get ahead with him in the early game, then his ability to snowball is extremely good. You just take the Rift Herald on Jace, you absolutely melt towers with the Rift Herald and your W, so he's a very good split pushing, very snowbally top lane champion that I'd be looking to pick up in this patch. Now, for when you should be looking to pick Jace in this patch, if the enemy team does lock Fiora and they pick that blind, he's got a 56% win rate in this patch against Fiora. With the Fiora nerfs in this patch, and technically with Jace getting buffed with the lethality changes, that matchup is extremely favored now for Jace in this patch, so I'd be looking to play that matchup if you do have the opportunity. And most other matchups he does go even against, like there's not too much in the laning phase that you're gonna lose to as long as you do know how to play the champion. He does have a losing win rate against like Quinn and Talon, but I think that's mainly due to the fact that if you don't respect those champions in the laning phase, then you're just gonna die to them because they do have very strong early games. And then the final champion in the tier 1 for this patch is going to be Pantheon. Now, I don't think there's a single champion in the top lane for this patch right now that has such insane win rates against a lot of meta top lane picks. He's got a 62% win rate right now against Fiora. He smashes like Teemo, Camille, Akali, Jax. There's just so many matchups right now in the top lane that Pantheon is doing extremely well in. So he's probably, other than Jace, your safest blind pick for 7.14. I think that Pantheon is just an extremely safe pick due to the fact that you can easily win laning phase, you can easily bully out the opponent, and if you do win lane as Pantheon, you've got your ultimate to influence other lanes as well, and that's one of the main reasons to why he's a great pick for solo queue. You win lane as Pantheon, and then you transition that into other lanes. You use your ultimate bot lane or mid lane, and you just help your team get ahead, so that's why Pantheon is a great pick for solo queue. Now, for Pantheon's matchups in this patch, like I said earlier, there's not too many picks that are going to beat him in the laning phase. There are a few picks, though, that can negate his stronger early game and that can at least go even against him in lane. Champions like Swain or Rumble or Heimerdinger are some pretty good picks into Pantheon, mainly because Rumble does have the shield to negate his poke damage. Swain and Heimerdinger do outrange him, so those champions can do pretty good in lane at least not allowing Pantheon to get a really good snowball going. Now, as for the tier 2 champions right now in this patch, I think that Talon and Quinn are really good. I could have had them in like a tier 1.5 because with the lethality changes, I think they're also very strong right now in this patch. They're two picks though that I probably wouldn't look to pick every single game. They are squishy top lane champions and they do rely on snowballing in the early game, so they are a little bit riskier, but if you get ahead with either Quinn or Talon in the laning phase, then your ability to roam and take over a game is extremely good. Now, a few more picks in this patch right now that I think are super underrated and very strong are a few of these tank top lane picks in like Malphite, Maokai, Sion. I think these champions are very good, especially if the enemy teams are stacking lethality. If you do stack armor against lethality stacking champions, then it basically cancels out all that lethality that they're going to be building and they're going to deal basically no damage to you. If the enemy team does have like a Kha'Zix jungle, a Zed mid, and then like a Riven top lane, I'd be looking to play Maokai or Malphite in this patch right now because you're still going to deal quite a bit of damage with these champions, but you're also basically going to be unkillable due to the fact that they will be stacking lethality. And then for the tier 3 champions right now in this patch, these champions are still viable. Like, they're picks that you can play if you're good at them, but they're definitely weaker than the tier 1 and the tier 2 champions. And I would really only pick these champions if you're either a one trick or you do main these picks, because if you do main any of the other tier 1 or the tier 2 champions, then they're just going to be much stronger to play in 7.14. So that is going to be it for this top lane tier list for this patch. If you guys did enjoy the video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, guys. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.